Today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite characters, Wart. You might also know him as Artos Artorius Arthur Pendragon. He is King Arthur, the boy who drew the sword from the stone. There are many different stories of King Arthur, and these are collectively referred to as Arthurian legends. There are very many variations of the Arthurian legends, although there are two elements that tend to say the same, as detailed in Geoffrey of Monmouth's History of the Kings of Britain, Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, and T.H. White's Once and Future King. These elements are the birth of King Arthur, as well as the presence of his magical sword, Excalibur. King Arthur's birth is a story of tragedy, affairs, and magic. It starts before King Arthur is born, when King Uther, his father, is crowned king. He has just won a major war with the help of the Duke of Cornwall, Gorlois, who comes to celebrate his coronation with his young wife, a beautiful woman named Igraine, who Uther falls madly in love with and decides he has to have her as his own wife. He then goes to war with his friend, the Duke of Cornwall, Gorlois. He enlists the aid of the wizard Merlin to help him in finding a way to sleep with Igraine and claim her as his wife. One night, while Gorlois is getting ready for battle with Uther's men, Merlin disguises Uther to look like Gorlois and sneaks him into the castle. While Gorlois is away fighting with Uther's men, Uther sleeps with Igraine and they conceive Arthur. Gorlois dies in this battle, which Igraine later learns and realizes that the man she slept with and conceived a child with was not her husband. This is where you may find some of the stories that differ. In some versions, Uther raises the child as his own and marries Igraine, and in a battle, when the boy is about 13, is massively wounded and gravely injured, and he takes his magic sword and throws it to the boy, which all of the men then believe that is his way of passing the power from him to his son, and Arthur is proclaimed king. In other versions of the story, Arthur is secreted away to Wales, where he is fostered by Sir Ector, a knight who was one of Uther's good friends. In this version, years pass, and Arthur is raised as Sir Ector's second son. When he is 13, Uther dies, and there is no heir to the kingdom. They have a massive war. Everyone is fighting and arguing, and people are dying. And Merlin appears, and he puts a sword in a stone, and he calls it Excalibur. It's a magical sword that only the true king of Britain can pull from the stone. Everyone tries. All the lords and noblemen and knights of the kingdom try to pull the sword, and they are unable to. So they host a giant tournament where everyone is invited to come. While at this tournament, Sir Kay, Arthur's foster brother, is one of the knights competing in the tournament. He forgets his sword in their inn, and Arthur is sent to retrieve it, and he is unable to. While he is trying to find a way into the inn, he instead spots a sword that's stuck in a stone across the street in a cemetery. He goes across and is able to draw the sword from the stone. He takes it to his brother, who recognizes it, as he was one of the knights who tried to pull it from the stone in the first place. They have several different knights come, and Arthur pulls it again from the sword, or from the stone. This is how he claims the sword Excalibur. This is one of the more popular versions of King Arthur becoming king, is the sword in the stone, which is actually the title of the first part of T.H. Eliot's The Once and Future King, The Sword in the Stone. There's also a famous Disney movie of the same name based on this book. King Arthur's stories are ones that have been adapted and changed since the very dawn of their conception. They continue to grow and change and will continue to be made into new adaptations. Part of this is because of the quote that Arthur is the king who once was and will be again, which comes from the idea that when he was mortally wounded, he was taken to the island of Avalon, where his wounds would be frozen until he could be healed and return to lead the world into a world of justice and peace for all. This is why he is known as the once and future king.